Welcome to the Inside Games Roundup, the only gaming news show brave enough to accurately summarize all the stories you're about to hear in this intro.
That's right, clarity. It's becoming uncommon on the internet these days. With Inside Games, you always know what you get, which apparently that's a stark departure from Nintendo, who apparently isn't including all Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC in its upcoming Switch 2 edition re-release of the game.
There's going to be a lot of charts figuring out what we do with, we love charts, pricing charts. And if that sentence confused the hell out of you, don't worry. We really get we get cross-eyed trying to make sense of it. You're gonna be looking at all these charts just like those early access Starfield. It's the worst. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, man, Nintendo's finally getting in the game, huh? Dicing up their games and reselling them in as many parts as possible. Ooh. And despite the never-ending parade of negative headlines about Switch 2 prices and the release, we do have just one ray of hope to share, at least for our increasingly dear United States gamers. Don't worry, delayed tariffs mean you may actually be able to buy a Switch for just $450 after all. Maybe for a month, which is going to make some interesting fisticuffs in line at Walmart, I think.
Apart from that, hackers have made Star Wars Battlefront 2 unplayable, and another developer closes its doors for good.
Damn. A lot of bad news. It's a growing refrain on Inside Games here, so let's throw to the one man that just positively screams bad news every time he walks into the room, Brian Garr.
Hey, listen, I bathe regularly, so it's okay news at worst. All right, let's talk about video games. If you are planning to revisit Breath of the Wild on the Switch 2, better hold on to your wallet. Nintendo has confirmed that the new enhanced edition of the game will not include its expansion pass DLC. That will require, in true Nintendo fashion, a separate purchase. Yes, the enhanced version of Breath of the Wild for the Switch 2, it's got everything. Updated visuals, improved performance, achievement support, that nifty new Zelda Notes feature through the Nintendo Switch Online app. But the DLC, which was originally released as the expansion pass in 2017, will still run you an additional $20 on top of the game's main price of $70.
Man, oh man, that's a hefty price for a game that released 8 years ago. I mean, Breath of the Wild is probably one of the greatest video games of all time, and Nintendo knows it. So they're going to charge you $90 for the whole thing.
Nintendo provided a statement to IGN confirming that the DLC was not part of it, saying The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Nintendo Switch 2 edition does not include The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild expansion pass DLC. 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles. That DLC is available as a separate purchase.
Okay, sorry, I was just scrolling on through. I got another chart here. This is the chart of all the DLC Nintendo Switch Online gets you. Because I was curious if it was part of that. It's not. You get DLC for Mario Kart, Animal Crossing, and the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion if you have Nintendo Switch Online, plus expansion pack. Nintendo used to be simple. You know, they might charge a little more for the games, but you just put them in and play them, and bing bong wahoo, you're having a good time. But not anymore. Sheesh. All right. As noted by a lot of people, Nintendo's breaking a lot of precedent when it comes to pricing and products with the Switch 2. That's not really what most people do with old classics here. A lot of publishers re-release older titles bundled with DLC, or offer discounted complete editions that have everything while porting the game to newer consoles or releasing it again. Meanwhile, Nintendo is, hey, if they're good at one thing, it's keeping the price points high on their games. So guess what? You get to buy them at the same price and buy all the DLC.
Existing owners of the game on the original Switch won't need to repurchase anything to continue playing, assuming they already bought the DLC. Their versions, including DLC content, will be playable on the Switch 2 without any additional charge. However, they won't receive the Enhanced Edition upgrades unless they cough up for a separate purchase of $10 for the upgrade. This is just a nightmare. Like, this is an absolute nightmare all the way around.
Yep, and now I'm trying to look up, because I know there are some games where you get the Switch 2 edition if you have Nintendo Switch Online.
Correct.
I don't know if Zelda's one of them. I think it's like Mario Odyssey, and oh my god. All this comes as gamers are having a lot of concerns, to say the least, about pricing on the Switch 2. The console itself is expected to retail for at least $450 in the US, but possibly more, depending on, if tariffs ever actually kick in and to what extent.
Yeah, and while President Trump has paused the most extensive tariffs on most places for the next 90 days, Nintendo is rushing to get Switches made in Vietnam and onto US shores ASAP, because that will be still a tariff, but like 10% as opposed to like much, much higher.
We don't know when the Mad King will unpause those tariffs. He could unpause them whenever he wants. and then he could pause them again for another 180 days. So in that case, this is going to be a crazy rush, like Lawrence said, to try and get this thing before the tariffs raise the prices. I did see some analysts saying that they thought that Nintendo had priced in the tariffs to the retail of $450. I read that today. Now, again, that's not confirmed. It was just from analysts. So maybe it'll stay at $450.
But there's a Japanese version for $350. So hard to believe that they didn't. Also, can you imagine if Sony in 2025 had said, yeah, it's going to be $90 for Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yeah.
Like, say a classic, a banger, but in no universe would people let them get away with that.
I actually think that Breath of the Wild is worth the money as a base game. And if you play all the way through Breath of the Wild, you'll get your $70 out of it. Wait, 60, all right? Well, I guess with the Switch 2 upgrade.
With the upgrade, it's $70. Tears of the Kingdom is $70.
Yeah, and I think it's worth it at that. Those are massive games, and from my experience, a lot more fun and interesting than Horizon, but that's just me. That's a taste thing. I still think that everyone balks at price, but people, I don't know. It brings up a lot of interesting and very subjective perceptions about game value. Because people are buying $90, $100 versions. People paid $90 for Starfield, all right? And they didn't complain about it, nor did I was one of the ones saying that this is stupid and it shouldn't. This early access thing is kind of fucked, but people are already out there doing it. So I don't know, for Nintendo to creep up the base price by $10, I understand because it seems precedent breaking, but it's really not. Publishers have been doing it for months and even years now, and everybody's been quietly doing it just because it was called early access or premium edition or whatever. So it's really just that the sticker's on now the default box. Well, whatever. We'll see. For now, like you guys were saying, the tariffs have been delayed theoretically through the launch window of the Switch 2, which means, yeah, Nintendo now has a window to try to ship as many Switches and get them sitting in US warehouses before it actually hits retail stores. And yeah, by all the buzz, they are making a shitload of them, and if they're smart, they are throwing them on boats right now. So hopefully they all get unloaded and we all get to buy one at normal MSRP, even though, yeah, Nintendo being Nintendo, I'm sure there was a lot of margin baked into that. I don't know if they baked in enough margin to account for like 150% tariff. That's kind of banana pants to think they were predicting that Trump would be that insane. But yeah, they probably have some profit margin they'd be willing to lose out on, because they just need to get Switch 2 in people's hands. There's no plan B for them, right? This is the only thing they do. They don't have an Azure cloud to fall back on, or TV sales to bolster them up. So
yet another article said, again, I don't think this is confirmed, but pre-orders for the US should open on May 8th. So I don't know how this would work, but
that was the IGN thing, right?
Yeah, yes, exactly. If you give Nintendo your payment on May 8th, for $450, and let's say the Mad King decides to put tariffs on again early or whatever, then I think they shouldn't take effect on whatever you've spent money on. I think. I don't know that it's a fact, but May 8th is when I think the first people here in the US can start pre-ordering the Switch 2.
That's through Nintendo's direct sales program. Yeah, we still don't know when retailer pre-orders are going to open, because Nintendo's still figuring that out. So, but yeah, that program specifically has all the requirements. Like, you have to have shared your play time with Nintendo. You have to have been a Nintendo Switch Online subscriber for 12 months. And I think you have to have shared at least 50 hours of gameplay data. So in these ways, I think they try to triangulate that you're not a bot, you're actually a living human. But yeah, that's how that program works. And yeah, that date is still May 8th. Yeah. So we'll have our fingers crossed. Hopefully all that Ring Fit Adventure playtime is going to be my savior here.
All right, let's move on. Hackers make Battlefront 2 unplayable on PC. We're talking about Star Wars Battlefront 2. It's facing a pretty major hacking crisis. It's gotten so bad that major multiplayer modes are now completely unplayable in the game. IGN reported that according to player reports on Reddit and EA forums, a new version of a long-standing exploit now prevents users from spawning into matches that effectively disables 40-player modes across the board.
Geez, wow. Previously, players could avoid hacked lobbies by switching games, but recent posts suggest the issue now affects nearly every match at all times, which is probably due to an automated version of this hack.
And it gets worse. Compounding the issues, players report that the hackers are posting offensive messages and impersonating EA admins while also hiding usernames to avoid being reported. Wow, this is a real work. Sheesh.
Yeah, this isn't the first time Battlefront 2 has faced game-breaking exploits. A similar situation occurred in 2022 and took months to resolve. As of now, EA hasn't responded to these latest complaints, but if you still want to play, console versions remain unaffected. I imagine there's just one poor engineer who's having to sort of mind the store, and he's just bleeding over a keyboard right now.
We're lucky if there is one person managing Star Wars Battlefront 2. They stopped work on this game years ago, so... and this happens a lot with Battlefield too, just like EA. And Battlefield just get hacked to bits for a few months, and then the hackers will get bored and move on. So it's like one of those things... seriously, like sometimes EA will do something about it, and other times they just won't. So... we're very sorry if you're trying to play that game.
Like entering a cursed Team Fortress 2 lobby at 3 a.m. It's really fun to see what happens when a service game just like falls into disrepair. If people take it over.
And to wrap up, Tequila Works, the Spanish studio behind Rime and Guilt, is officially putting its games and even its own name up for auction.
Oh man, after filing for insolvency last November, the developer started listing its IP and in-development projects on the auction site Escripelia, up for grabs. The rights to Rime, Guilt, Deadlight, plus a handful of unreleased titles with names like The Ancient Mariner, Dungeon Tour, and Brawler Crawler. Also on the table are trademarks, social media accounts, and even the studio's branding.
Tequila Works had a tough 2024. I think a lot of us did, but especially hard on them, yeah. They cited prolonged market conditions as the reason for their financial troubles. Things got worse and they laid off part of their team just a month before going under in November of last year. And all this comes just a few years after Tencent stepped in as a majority investor in 2022 to help the studio grow and create new IP.
Yeah, another big bummer. But hopefully Brian can bring us back up with a 5-second review.
Continuing my trend of reviewing very old games, I've gotten into old school RuneScape, which if you've never played, it's like an MMORPG on the Apple II. It is slow. It is a grind. I'm completely addicted. I love it. I spent yesterday just chopping wood and skilling up like one level. Love it.
Next review, Brian will review Metal Gear Solid 2.
Dude, I'd love that. Brian, please play Metal Gear Solid 2.
I've only played Metal Gear for the NES. It's the only Metal Gear I've ever played.
He'll get there. It's just give him some time. All right, the video games are coming up this week. First up, Lush Foil Photography Sim. Oh, this sounds nice. Experience detailed, true-to-life recreations of beautiful and diverse locations around the world. Trek through and explore environments to capture stunning vistas and landscapes with their fully featured in-game camera. Each environment is filled with objectives to reward players that have a good eye for angles and perspectives and hidden secrets for those who are patient and observant. It comes to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X on April 15th.
The ultimate achievement should be photographing an illicit drug deal in the back of the woods or something. Sit in the deer stand for long enough. All right, next up, Bionic Bay. This one looks... I've seen some trailers for this. This looks cool. A scientist uses a unique teleportation instrument to escape an ancient biomechanical world filled with imaginative technology, deadly traps, and hidden secrets. Bionic Bay hits the PC and PS5 on April 17th.
And last but certainly not least, Mandragora, Whispers of the Witch Tree. Slay your way in Mandragora, Whispers of the Witch Tree, an epic action RPG in a dark fantasy world. Battle monsters across a 40-plus hour story, master 6 unique classes, craft hundreds of useful items, and explore the secrets of an expansive, interconnected world. It comes to PC, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One, April 17th.
We'd also like to shout out extra special Inside Games patrons. They support our Patreon every single month, enabling us to make these episodes you watch. Sherwin Sanchez and Null Test, who are so confused about Zelda DLC, they just accidentally bought Breath of the Mild Breath Mints instead. So they just try to get the expansion pass, DLC, Switch 2 upgrade, whatever it was, and they got those Breath Mints. Sorry, man.